Welcome to Titan HST's Business Continuity Today, hosted by Todd DeVoe, where planning meets reality.
Good morning, good afternoon, depending on what part of the world that you are in. And I'm Todd DeVoe, host of Business Continuity Today, and I'm the Director of Emergency Management at Titan HST. I also teach at the post-secondary level. So learning new things and sharing what I learn is definitely a passion for me. I tell you, we do have some weather news coming out, and we have a hurricane or hitting south part of Florida. So I hope everybody down there is staying safe. And then we have some weather here in California today, a little bit rainy. So if you hear some noise in the background, that's probably what it is. But it's good because we definitely need some water over here. But today we're not here to talk about weather. We're talking about followership. You know, to be a good leader, we tend to send people to leadership schools. In the Navy Marine Corps, we have leadership development programs. Once you get promoted, I'm sure that's the same thing in other branches of services. Our paramilitary organizations, the police departments and fire departments, we have leadership training built into them. We have leadership training built in for emergency management, where we send people to EMI to learn about leadership as well. And we have leadership programs built in at higher ed as well, right? As a matter of fact, there's full master's and PhD programs in leadership. But they got me thinking, right? Followership. And the other day, I had Todd Mans from Blue Cell. He was helping me out with a class I teach, and he talked about this, and he said there's leadership and followership. You need both of those things during a crisis, right? And that is, one person leads, right? If it's an incident commander, for instance, or if it's the if you have a unified command, right? And then the information is sent down to those that need to listen and to follow. And I'm like, yeah, we don't talk a lot about followership and what exactly that is. And so I wrote a piece the other day about it, and then I said, I'm going to share this here with Business Continuity Today, because when we are in organizations and non-government structured organizations, right, when we're in business, whether it's not-for-profit or for-profit businesses, it's a little different than those paramilitary organizations, right? So we do have managers that are in place. And not all managers are leaders, right? We've talked about this in the past. But however, they at some point are following orders and directions coming from the C-suite down. And I think it's imperative that we learn how to be good followers as well in business. And that is not that you have to blindly just do, right? And that's not what followership is necessarily. It's not where you just blindly follow rules, and well, you do follow the rules, but we follow the orders, right? Or not question things. It's getting everybody and understanding what the mission is of that organization and buying into that mission of the organization, right? And so when we take a look at this, what the mission statement is, Brian Colburn, who's the producer of the show, and I have had lots of conversations when it comes into what is the mission statement of your organization. And can everybody in your organization, first of all, do they know what it is, right? Can they articulate that mission statement without thinking about it or having to look at a piece of paper? Number one. Number two, do you believe in that mission statement, right? And then number three, do you follow that mission statement? And I think that is the critical part of what it is to be a follower necessarily in an organization. So why is followership important? Well, if you are a good follower, if you understand what the organization is and you buy into what the organization does, when I say buy in, not like sell out, right? I hate the term, but the idea is you believe wholeheartedly in your organization. And I'll tell you a personal story about Titan HST and myself. I was a Titan HST convert, if you will, before I started working for Titan HST, right? Because I used the product when I was at a school where I was the emergency manager, and I saw how easy it was. And if anybody ever asked me anything about Titan HST, I was all ready to say, "Hey, yeah, this is the product to use," and that's how I feel about it today, right? And so I bought into what Titan HST is, all right, and I believe in it, and so that's what I'm talking about is following. And so when we're looking at what's happening within the organization, it's easy for me to say, "Yep, this is us. We're going to go forward. We're going to do well. We're going to do well for our customers and for those who are users," right? And I think that's where it's critical when you look at this, that I am not making the decisions on how things are made in the organization necessarily, right? But I'm part of saying, yes, right, we can do this and we are producing a product that's saving lives, right? That's critical. And you need to have that when it comes to business continuity and your organization as well, right? And so, how do you get that? You get that because if you can get others to believe in your mission, to understand what is going on in that, and that they could be followers and believers in what you're doing, that you have their best interest at heart, they will follow you as well. And that's how you develop good leaders, is people that can understand what it is to be on the other side, the empathy that it is to be there to get the word, if you will, as we say, to get the word and to be able to follow that, right? And to do it without questioning the intent behind it. And that's the important part, right? And we don't send people to followership schools, right? We don't have followership programs, right? Sounds kind of funny, to even say that out loud. But thinking about it, we just don't do that, right? We just assume that the leader is going to come in and there's going to be people below them that are going to say, I understand, I will comply, and do as they're told. And that is not how it works in an organization. So you have to develop a culture, right, to where people are willing to follow those orders, those rules, those directives, whatever system that you're using, I use all the different ones right there because it's whether you're in a business or whether you're paramilitary, what you're doing, you have to have that trust. And so to build good followers, you have to have trust between the line people, and you have to have trust between line people and the leaders, right? And you build that by building a culture that has proper followership and proper leadership. And it sounds kind of convoluted if you think about it, but it's not, right? Because everybody has to be on that during a crisis. Everybody has to be on that same page, right? And as we're talking the other day, sometimes people aren't even in the same book, right? And if we get them into the same book, that's great. And if we get them the same chapter, it's even better. But as Troy says, but get them from the same chapter to the same page, that's always the step that's the hardest. And I think that's when you have good followers along with good leaders, that you have an organization that is going to be succinct and credible and doing great work during a crisis to move people through. As we talked about today, we have weather coming in to Florida, right, with a hurricane. And we just went through another hurricane just earlier, and it's election day today, right? And so, those things are all going on right now. So I can imagine that it's very hectic for the people in Florida. But I know the organizations down there have great leadership. I know they have great followers as well, and that they're going to be able to pull through this kind of crisis that's coming towards them as well. But everybody, if we think about this together, right, when we develop an organization, I think we should start also working not just on our leadership programs, but how do we develop those who are following us, right? And how do we build that trust? Because for them, the people who are followers, right, are good followers, are going to become great leaders. And I think that's the critical part of what we're talking about here today, is becoming great leaders from great followers. And well, I don't know. Can we develop a followership program? That's the question that has to be asked. Hey, everybody, like leadership and followership, it's a skill that everyone needs to grow and improve in. And if you enjoyed today's show, give us 5 stars and let your friends and colleagues know about us, what we're doing here at Titan HST Business Continuity Today. And if you want to keep your team on the same page during a crisis, visit titanhst.com for your communication needs. And until next week, everybody, stay safe, stay hydrated.